But the good news was they finally created like actual jobs for journalists to go over and be able to apply your sort of skills to this new medium. And so that's when I was told, I'll be back and it's all over and this is a fad and who wants to get information that way? All people want to do is read the paper. It's ironic now, since it's sort of the worm has turned a bit on that. But so I went over in '94 and we launched this thing called AT&T Interchange in mid-1995. It was a dial-up network, like I said. You had to pay like $40 a year for it. So for all the people who love to run around and talk about how we all screwed ourselves by not charging way back then, we did, and it was a miserable failure. So when you hear everybody talk about how we only charged back in 1995, journalism would be different, flowers would be blooming, and we'd all be millionaires, they don't believe it. It's not true. A lot of people did try to charge then, and it didn't work then either. But we tried this thing for a while, and the great news was we were early. We beat almost every other newspaper into new media. The problem was, because we were first, we launched something that was we launched a dial-up proprietary network right in the last dying stages of dial-up proprietary network. If we'd actually waited 6 months and been with everybody else, we would have gone straight to the web and probably saved ourselves a lot of time and money. But because we actually were pretty innovative and got into new media early, we launched something that was in 6 months completely useless. So we shut down this thing called Interchange, and then we got on the web in June 1996. We launched WashingtonPost.com, and at that point I was the sports editor, and I had a staff of none. That's why I love my title. You should go tell everybody I was a sports editor, and it sounded like lots of people worked for me. But I was the sports staff for a while. And so I was there till '99, and the site got bigger and bigger, but the problem was, back then, the newspaper just did not care at all. Could care less about the web. For all the talk about how newspapers haven't adapted to the web quickly enough and too many journalists aren't really on board yet, you can imagine what it was like 10 years ago. Couldn't get a phone call returned. The idea that you would dare suggest a reporter file anything earlier than when the actual paper was due was considered outrageous. And, what do we want to be, AP? There was always talk about why you can't file early, why reporters shouldn't have to take pictures. All of the things that the website was kind of hoping they would do, they had no interest in doing. So this website grew. We were doing okay, but I got frustrated in '99 by the sort of lack of cooperation, and decided I wanted to go someplace where there wasn't I wanted to go to a new media company, one that was trying all sorts of new things, and you didn't have this sort of baggage of an old legacy brand that just didn't want to change. So I went to AOL in '99 and got there. The last good year, I think the last year it was probably good to go there in terms of innovation, and then they merged with Time Warner, and things got a little messy. But I ended up spending 4 years there and learned a massive amount about the internet. I ended up running the news and sports channels at AOL for a while, and then took on responsibilities for like operations and production and a lot of other things. But at the end of that, you reach sort of this other phase of your career where you miss kind of hanging out. You miss actually being with journalists, and you miss talking to people about what's going on in the world.